It is 10:01. Good morning. Broadcasting live from Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken on Charlotte Ave. I'm Lucas Panzico. We are exactly 1 week away from the 2026 NFL Draft. Mike Borgonzi met with the media earlier this morning in a press conference that you can hear coming up in a few minutes. In other NFL news, the league has begun onboarding potential replacement referees as the expiration of the current CBA with the Referees Association is set to expire at the end of May, and negotiations with the NFL have hit an impasse. Nashville Soccer Club learned its CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal opponent on Wednesday. It will be Mexican club Tigres after they advanced past Seattle in the quarterfinal. Nashville will host Tigres at Geodis Park before the second leg in Mexico. Exact dates and times yet to be announced. The Nashville Predators season ends tonight at Bridgestone Arena against the Anaheim Ducks. The Preds were officially eliminated from playoff contention on Tuesday. Puck drop tonight is at 7. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning. Live from Hattie Bee's on Charlotte Pike. We're happy to have you for the next 3 hours. They will open here in the not-too-distant future, and we're hanging out here today because they got an event with the Titans tonight from 5:30 to 6:30 with Titans cheer, with T-Rack. Femi Oladejo's going to be here. You can get pictures, autographs, all manner of different things. So if you're coming by for your lunch break, we'll look forward to seeing you. If you're stopping by tonight, we hope you have a great time. 615-737-1045. The number, if you want to get involved, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can live stream the show. You can see us from the palatial Hattie Bee's that we are broadcasting live from. 5209 Charlotte out here in, we're not quite West Nashville, right?
Oh, this is West Nashville.
We are west of downtown. I wouldn't say quite West Nashville. Like, we're not quite out to that shopping center with the Dick's Sporting Goods and the Costco and all that stuff, but right here, close to the Nations, I would say.
By definition, I believe we are in West Nashville.
Very good. So the West Nashville Hattie Bees. Good morning.
Good morning. I am happy to be here. I am so hungry. I cannot wait. I think it's a half-bird kind of day.
Okay.
A Hattie B's Hot Chicken on this Thursday.
Robert, you look surprised. Is he stealing your order?
I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that at all.
Oh, what do you mean?
I hate when someone else orders before me and then orders the same thing I'm going to order, and then it makes me look unoriginal.
Well, you can order before me.
And nobody's ordered yet. We're talking about it.
Well, no, I've already reserved my half-bird. I made sure as soon as I got up in here, I said I need my chicken. I need it reserved. I need it hot and ready. 10:46, right out the door. They said no problem.
I can't wait.
The last time I think we all went to a Hattie B's just for lunch was this location, and it might have been the best Hattie B's experience I've had yet. And that's saying something.
Yeah, the patio out here, it's a beaucal day to come and enjoy.
Well, the
your lunch
hatio.
break. The hatio, I like it. I like it.
You know what? Nick Bishop should, since he's already co-opting my white chicken chili.
Shut up.
Idea.
Shut up.
Since
it's not
you
your
have
idea.
Tried to proliferate.
All I do is have ideas.
This lie that you've had and that you've tried to sell people over and over and over again.
Is Nick going to be here today?
Maybe, just maybe.
Is he going to be here today? Because I'd like to
sell
plead my
him
case.
He
on
might
the
make an
idea
appearance.
of the Hatios. No, he's not. He's in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So, otherwise there would be white.
What's brewing for Hattie B's in Chicago?
Well, they got 2 spots in Chicago now. I think there's one in Wrigleyville now. Either way, yeah. Hattie B's worldwide, baby.
Worldwide.
They better not roll that white hot chicken chili up there without me.
No, it's going to be Buck's white hot chicken chili.
I'm not a violent man.
It doesn't have the ring to it that
Bert's white hot chicken chili does sound better.
Sounds much better.
Yeah.
Well, there's already a Bert who has chili.
Oh, really? Who?
Wendy's.
Oh, is his name Bert?
Yeah, it's Bert, right? Isn't it? Or is that Waffle House I'm thinking of?
No. Chili's
I think it's Dave. Wendy's.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. It's Bert's Chili at Waffle House.
Yeah.
Okay. Bert's Chili at Waffle House.
Doesn't hold a candle to Hattie B's.
No.
Not even close.
No, what are you talking about?
A great setup in here. I feel like the Knights of the Round Table with this giant half circular table.
Who would you be? Who would you be?
Which one's Lancelot?
Not that one.
Lancelot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would probably be Lancelot.
No, you're the horse that Lancelot rides on.
I would probably be
What's
Guinevere.
the steed?
What's the woman that they're all trying to?
Guinevere?
Yeah, I would probably be Guinevere with my long hair. You could be Lancelot. Buck could be Merlin. Yeah, he's not King Arthur for sure.
Who's the woman in the lake?
Kirby is our Merlin. Kirby is our Merlin.
That's way better.
Yes.
That's way better. That's way better. I just came from Mike Borgonzi's press conference. Lucas, what'd you learn? A lot of good draft stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't ask you. I should ask Robert, because Robert probably actually paid attention.
So many nuggets.
And learned many things from the press conference. Robert, go ahead and educate him. Go ahead and tell him about the things that we learned at the Mike Borgonzi press conference.
I didn't learn anything because I haven't heard it yet. I'm excited to replay it so we can indulge in the nuggets while we're indulging in some nuggets, if you will.
Indeed. So just the things that he was asked about specifically today that are newsworthy more than overall draft theme. Obviously, the Ruben Bane situation has been in the news, the Miami pass rusher. The news broke publicly this week that he had been in a 2024 car wreck with 4 other passengers. A woman who was in the accident with Ruben Bane, who was driving the car, went into a coma after the fact and then passed away 3 months afterwards. There was another incident in 2025. All that to say, just to refresh the story, Mike Borgonzi said they've known about it since last summer. So almost a calendar year have NFL teams, because if one club knows about it, they all know about it within a span of a week or 2 weeks.
And we knew they all knew about it.
Yes, but that's just to put a date on it almost. A calendar year, NFL teams have had that information. I followed up with, was he forthcoming about that? Did he volunteer that information to you guys? Or is that something that you had to specifically ask him about in your conversations? Borgonzi said they asked about it. They asked him about it at the Combine.
Yes, which makes sense, right? Like, when the player walks into the room, the teams are kind of conducting that situation.
It's their first opportunity, really, to do that. Yeah.
So it's easy to say that Ruben Bane hasn't been forthcoming with teams, but it's not. You're not leading that portion of things.
Well, in the reporting, the initial reporting from Ollie Connolly, it cited one NFL source that felt Ruben Bane had not been forthcoming. That's not to say that that was the experience for every NFL club, and also it's not to say that he's walking in there for the first time. It's not like you get a pre-meeting with the agent or something like that. Be like, hey boys, what's going on here? Like a pre-interview before you do the interview. You just get the kid, and that's when you talk to him.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Ruben Bane was not forthcoming. To me, that could mean one of two things: that teams didn't ask him about it, and then at some point towards the end of it, we're like, "Is there anything that you think we should know?" And he just said, "Nope, I think we've covered it all."
Sure don't.
Or could it be that teams asked him about it and he wasn't really willing to talk about it?
Like, the way that it was categorized again in the reporting of Ollie Connolly from ReadOptional.com, who broke the story, is that that specific source and another NFL source had cited, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, if we didn't know about this and you didn't tell us about this, what else are you not telling us about? Which I think is a fair skepticism to have. Not an indictment of Ruben Bane necessarily, but just to be, okay, if there's one, what else is there, just for the possibility of it? And there was another infraction.
But Borgonzi did not, publicly at least today, take an iota of issue on how Ruben Bane handled the situation.
He said we feel good about the person.
Yeah.
Ruben Bane Jr. He also mentioned of Jordan Tyson's medicals that it was not a concern for the Titans, but every club is different. That was something notable. We haven't talked about Jordan Tyson for the Titans. I don't know what that would look like necessarily, if it's a conversation worth having at this point, because as we've talked about, he is the higher ceiling player versus Carnell Tate, who's the more well-rounded, probably closer to his ceiling in Carnell Tate, versus Mekhi Lemon, the other wide receiver who's going to be talked about at the top of the draft, who's a specific slot player. Should we be having a discussion about Jordan Tyson to the Titans?
Again, we can have a discussion about anybody. There's such a wide array of options the Titans feasibly have at 4.
Sure, but we've really only been talking about like 5 dudes.
Yeah. But we also had that exercise where we sat down. We can do this again next week, like maybe the day before the draft or the day of the draft, where we sat down and said, how many feasibly could the Titans draft at 4? We came up with like 8 or 9 guys. Now, on the Jordan Tyson thing, just to play devil's advocate, Mike Borgonzi says we're not concerned right now about the medicals. Would Mike Borgonzi say otherwise if they were? Would he say, no, we're very concerned?
I don't know that he would say they are very concerned, but that, yeah, it's a consideration. Like he said it wasn't a problem for us. That's more specific. Like he's not trying to sugarcoat anything. That's a direct response to a question that he's being asked.
It could also not be a problem for them because they're not considering Jordan Tyson.
Which is immediately how I thought about it. Like, okay, well, if it's not a concern for you, is that because the medicals are not a concern for you or because you're not taking the player? Because what did he – well, you haven't heard it yet, but he talked about the game within the game, right? The smoke screen stuff.
I did listen to the press conference, to be clear.
No, I know. But you I think that there are some things that are worth parsing that you might be too quick to dismiss.
Okay.
Do you think that's fair?
We'll find out.
All right. We'll get you updated with the full Mike Borgonzi press conference experience, pre-draft press conference that took place this morning later in the show. Man, it's going to be hard to do the show staring at this menu the entire time.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
With you.
No, it's not. Not even a little bit. In fact, I would prefer...
Well, it's going to be difficult to do because we have to wait before we can order our food.
Why?
Because I'm hungry now.
Oh, okay.
It'll be 10 a.m., 12 a.m. is not too early for me to indulge in some Hattie Bees.
Oh, it'll be ready before you know it. We got 30 minutes till this bad boy opens up.
Mm-hmm. We're broadcasting.
Bacon cheddar grits in a while.
Ooh, shut up,
the way that I just talked about how hard this was going to be able to do. We're not going to. He's gonna check out. That's what's going to happen because not only does he have the opportunity to look at what he wants on his laptop and his screen in front of him the way that he does in studio. Now he can actually look at the kitchen.
Yeah.
Look at those Dirty Bird fries, dude.
See, this is what I was talking about.
Pimento mac and cheese, tender bites, comeback sauce on fries.
That sounds
Doesn't that make you just want to be a total fat ass today and just indulge in the whole menu?
I'm down. Should we? What's the?
I'll have one of everything.
What's the clip that was making the rounds? This larger British gentleman sitting at a restaurant in Saudi Arabia, looked like a Chinese restaurant in Saudi Arabia. You seen this?
No.
And he's got the full menu in front of him, and he's going through. It's the most professional ordering experience.
It's
you know
like
what I'm
we'll
talking
take
about?
2 Gatamads and
he's going point for point. The waiter's giving him feedback. He's going through the whole thing, but he basically orders the entire menu. I feel like that's us today.
Oh, yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you at Hattie Bee's. We're at the location in West Nashville on Charlotte, 5209 Charlotte to be specific. Like we mentioned, the Titans are having an event here later today, later this evening, 5:30, I believe is the time to start for that. But you will want to get here early if you want an autograph, if you want pictures, Titans cheer, T-Rack. So many other things going on at Hattie Bee's.
I'll sign autographs whenever.
Today. Have you ever signed an autograph?
Like a signature?
Yeah.
I've signed.
Has anybody asked you to sign something?
Yeah, I've signed government documents that said I wasn't allowed to go towards someone's house.
Strangely, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think I've ever signed an autograph.
No, I mean I feel like maybe at the open practice thing that we were at. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe
Nobody wants my John Hancock.
You don't know that. Maybe you go to the open practice with us this year, and you can sign for the people the way that Lucas was doing this past time.
Excited. The only thing I'm trying to sign is my receipt after I order from this.
I said it's going to be hard to do the show staring at their menu, and you said no, it's not, and then proceeded to get distracted.
Well, you made me hungrier.
Yeah, I'm starving, which is great because we're at Hattie Bee's, the show fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken. Coming up next, Greg Cosell with a tribute to Coach Dave McGinnis and some offensive line breakdowns. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Today is a good day, and that's because we are broadcasting from Hattie B's Hot Chicken in West Nashville. We'd love for you to come see us and enjoy whatever works for you. Hot or not, whether it's mild, can go all the way down to Southern, all the way up to Shut the Cluck Up. They have something for you here at Hattie B's. The sandwiches, the tenders, the half bird if you're hungry, the Southern salads. 2 words for you, cornbread croutons. And who can forget the hot, fresh sides, the pimento mac and cheese, the bacon cheddar grits, the southern greens. I'm going to die sitting here just staring at this menu until we get to sink our teeth in. Also, the Titans will be here later today. Femi Oladejo will be here later today, 5:30 to 6:30, hanging out, signing autographs, enjoying the best hot chicken in the world with you. So come see us. Hang out on the beautiful patio on this beautiful day at Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, and we'll see you here.
Welcome back to the show. We're fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world, obviously. We're broadcasting live from Hattie Bee's today. 5209 Charlotte Avenue is where you can find us in West Nashville. They're having an event with the Tennessee Titans later today. Titans cheer. T-Rack, the raccoon, survived the rebrand. So T-Rack is going to be here in solidarity in his new duds today. Did you see the way they graffitied the Titans media room? They got that alternate logo. They painted a giant blue wall in the Titans media room with the secondary type. Somebody went in there and then spray painted the wall. I don't know how I feel about it. It used to look like a hospital room, which some people probably didn't love either. But now very, very bright, very blue in the Titans media room. First time I think I've been to the facility since they redid everything.
It's very bright in here with the sun shining through.
It's a beautiful day.
You will be blue if you don't come see us.
Blue if you don't get Hattie Bees.
Oh, I feel
whether
bad
they
for-
see us or not, whatever. But
Do we think this woman's here to get chicken?
No. I don't think so.
Dang.
I don't
I
think
wanted her to be disappointed, like the rest of us. I wanted her to come here hoping that they were open, but they weren't.
Well, we've got 20 minutes.
Why would you want that?
You can make. Well, why would you wish that?
Because
on
I want
somebody?
someone. Because misery loves company. Because I'm sitting over here and I'm wishing that.
So soon. Actually, in fact, I think you are correct. I believe you are correct.
In 38 minutes.
You know what? Good call. Good call. See, people cannot wait for this place to open. They have to get their chicken.
You got to batten down the hatches.
Have to get their chicken.
People banging the door down.
Swab the poop deck. Somebody do something.
11 a.m.
So we did the latest episode of The Install yesterday to accommodate my schedule for Mike Borgonzi's press conference, so Cosell was good to tape with me last night. Today was an offensive line discussion, which I think is relevant to the Titans' needs and given the different things that they need to do in this upcoming draft. But, of course, we first started with Cosell's tribute to Coach Dave McGinnis, so you'll hear a portion of the install right now. Welcome into the install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films. That, of course, is the main man. And as of tomorrow, Greg, we're a week away from the NFL draft. An insane thing to say. But here in Nashville and really around the football community, heart's pretty heavy this week with the passing of Coach Dave McGinnis. Not just, the broadcast voice here in Nashville for Titans Radio, but obviously the former Cardinals coach, longtime Bears and Titans and Rams assistant, and somebody who I know you have known for many, many years. So I just want to get out of the way and let you say whatever you'd like to say about Coach Mack.
Yeah, it was really sad news. And I know that, we had spoken, you had mentioned that it was likely to happen sooner than later. And then but still, when you see it, it's still a shock to the system. I mean, it was really sad news. I met Coach McGinnis back in probably the mid 90s. And when he was with the Cardinals, and we got to be really good friends really quickly because, as you know, and everybody in Nashville knows, and I'm sure has been talking about, since the news broke on Monday, he's just that kind of guy. He was that kind of guy. I mean, you could talk to him and you felt like after 2 minutes you were talking to your best friend that you've known for 30 years.
Yeah.
He was just, and he cared. That's the thing. There was nothing superficial about any conversation you had with Coach Mack. Everything was genuine. Everything was authentic. You felt like you were the only person that mattered when he was talking to you. And obviously, for me, being a friend as well as the football business, I mean, I had so many wonderful conversations with him over the years about football, and I learned a ton. I mean, I remember doing a draft event with him a number of years ago in Nashville. It was unbelievable. And I was always hoping we'd get to do more. It never worked out for any number of reasons, but it's not only a big loss for Nashville, it's just a really big loss just for the football community and really just for the human element. He was such a great individual. And I mean, obviously I could go on and on and on, and I'm sure you've been doing that on the radio this week. I'm sure everybody has in Nashville. He was probably the unofficial mayor of Nashville because that's his personality. Just an awesome human being, and it's really a loss.
Yeah, no, and I know he thought the world of you, Greg, and your conversations and the work that you did. So really, really kind of you to say. Yeah, it's been you go through the sadness part of it, and then you just remember all the fun stuff and the good times and the Coach Mack isms, right? And
Yeah.
it's almost therapeutic. So we've been doing a lot of that. Now, no graceful way to transition into football talk, but that's what Mac would want us to do. He'd
No question. No question.
smack me on the back and say, hey, get your shit together. So that's exactly
That's
what
right.
we're going
That's
to
right.
do.
That's right. You're right. I mean, yeah. And then, like you said, there's no easy way, so you just do it, and we don't try to be fake about it.
No, absolutely. And when we have the live show here in a couple of weeks, we will obviously have some kind of Coach Mac tribute as well,
No
which will
question.
which we
Yeah.
look forward to have the audience being a part of to share in those moments with us. But today, Greg, offensive linemen, and God knows the Titans need a few. This is an interesting class with a couple of names at the top in particular. I just wonder, you've talked a lot about your experience at O-line masterminds here these last couple of years, and what a constant process learning offensive line technique is. And I wonder if you could just refresh for the audience.
Well, first of all, it's funny. Even to this day, Buck, I don't consider myself an offensive line guru. Now, when I speak to coaches, and I know some O-line coaches, they always do tell me that I know more than I think I do, but I still don't feel super comfortable. One of the first things you talk about the O-line masterminds, that Duke Manyweather, who does an unbelievable job along with so many other, Jeff Schwartz. There's so many people involved that make it just an incredible event, usually in early to mid July. But one of the first things Duke says is that offensive line is a totally learned position, because no 7 or 8 year old says to his dad, "Hey, Dad, I want to put my hand in the dirt and be an offensive lineman." That's normally not the way young kids who love sports, and love football begin their football lives. So, it's totally learned and taught. And, that's one reason why at times I always feel like, oh, gee, I wish I knew even more about all the techniques and the way they're taught. But I've learned a lot myself over the years, and I try to apply that when I watch tape. And of course, what is the purpose of watching college players? It's to project and transition them to the league. It's not just to say, oh, look at that guy, he made a nice block. Ultimately, we're talking about how does all this translate to the next level. So, look, even coaches, some you get right, some you get wrong. Some's a function of coaching, some's a function of the player. There's many variables, as in every position, that go into whether an offensive line makes it or doesn't make it at the next level.
And a lot of these, especially in the draft prospect dialogue analysis, so often you hear guys and the way that they're talked about or the way that they're analyzed, potentially, okay, he did play tackle in college, for example, but his fit may be better on the inside.
Right.
Radens is an example here locally that I know you talked about that way. And I wonder, what those differentiating characteristics are or physical traits that you guys study and kind of to figure out what bucket a player might fit best at the professional level.
It's a great question, and I'm not sure there's a mathematical answer to that.
Sure.
Where you just look in a book and go, oh yeah, that guy played tackle in college, but look, now he's going to be a center or a guard.
Right.
So I think and there's one player like that for me anyway in this draft. We'll get to him momentarily. I may be in the minority, although I did have a great conversation with an O-line coach who shared my point of view because I mentioned it to him. So that tells me that he's certainly not going to be the only O-line coach that feels that way. There'll be others. But you get one thing that everybody gets caught up in, of course, is arm length. This year we're hearing about it on the defensive side because of Ruben Bane, but it's true with offensive tackles. I think there's only 4 or 5 offensive tackles starting out of the 64 in the National Football League that start whose arm length is less than 33. And one of them, of course, is Will Campbell with the Patriots. And just to give you an example of why this is not a quantitative thing, and this to me was so telling and so compelling. I heard Joe Thomas, who obviously knows more about offensive tackle play than I do, way more, say that in looking at Campbell's last 4 or 5 games when he struggled, Joe Thomas thought none of it had to do with his arm length. I spoke to an O-line coach who's been coaching in the league for over 30 years, who told me it had everything to do with arm length. So if you're going to get into, those kinds of debates, far from it for me, who doesn't know as much as either one of those guys to say exactly why that 33-inch delineation absolutely matters. I don't have a brilliant answer for that. But the point is, it seemingly does matter because there's only 5 of them in the National Football League.
Right.
So if there's only 5 that have arm length less than 33, then somewhere along the line, people in the NFL think it does matter to some extent.
Yeah, I mean it's like anything else, and just talking to coaches and evaluators over the years, Greg, as you have done to a much greater extent. The physical preferences or not even physical preferences, but essentially how things are coached, how things are analyzed,
Yeah.
And how scheme works versus what the player is capable of doing, and,
Yes.
and trying to not necessarily square peg round hole, guys, but just trying to figure out what makes the most sense. It's not like we're not doing these things in a vacuum, is what I'm trying to say.
You just made a great point that led me to talk about a player who's not in this draft, and we'll get to that in the draft in a second. But Mike McGlinchey, for instance, he came out of Notre Dame and he was a top 10 pick in the draft. Now in San Francisco, he struggled to pass protect one-on-one. So he signs with the Broncos. And it turns out, obviously, Sean Payton's there. And Sean Payton's pass game is very quick rhythm, okay? So the ball gets out. So it can camouflage what McGlinchey does not do really well, which is one-on-one pass protection on vertical sets, meaning the quarterback takes deeper drops. So the offensive tackles have what are called vertical sets. He's not very good at that. So he struggles in one-on-one pass protection with vertical sets. He doesn't have to do that many of them. Obviously, every team gets to 3rd and 9. We know that. But the foundation of their pass game does not require him to do a lot of one-on-one pass protecting with those deeper vertical sets, which is not a strength of his game. So your point was a great one. There's so many variables with scheme, how it's coached, and you can take a player's weaknesses and really minimize them, and he can still become a very good player, depending on your system.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, just so many different factors, right? How quickly does the quarterback behind you get rid of the ball versus how long you're being asked, what a 5-step drop, 7-step drop, whatever the case may be. So many different factors that, it's easy to blame the offensive line for the sack, but you're not really getting the context and the nuance required to understand, okay, what was supposed to happen on this play versus what did happen on this play. So to the prospects themselves, Greg, I don't know if you have like I said, we don't typically put you in a position where we're asking you to make lists or rankings, but there is a sense where Francis Maui-Noa is regarded as the most well-rounded, for lack of a better term, tackle in this draft out of Miami. And I wonder what you made of him in your tape study.
Now, he is a fascinating guy because there are a number of people, Buck, who think that he's a guard, that he'd be a really solid right tackle and an all-pro guard. Now, my guess is he'll start his career as a tackle. But his game really is built on strength and power. That's his game. The one thing that he does not have at the level you would ideally want, it's not that he's incapable of it, but he doesn't have tremendous range in pass protection. Now, again, it comes down to how he's deployed within the context of an offense. That range issue is minimized with there's essentially 3 kinds of sets. There's a short set, a 45-degree angle set, and a vertical set. The more that he's in an offense that features shorter sets and 45-degree sets, he can be better. If the range comes into play with those more vertical sets where he's going to have to deal with, more of the speed and the quickness of pass rushers. But he is a power player. He's got a thick, sturdy, dense build, and he looks more like a guard. But there's no question in my mind he'll be drafted as a right tackle. I believe he can play there at the next level. And the biggest challenge will be just what I said, vertical sets and one-on-one pass protection.
What differentiates him and Spencer Fano?
Well, Fano's a totally different player. And Fano he's the player I was speaking about and speaking with an O-line coach where it's funny. I'm like I said, maybe I'm in the minority, maybe I'm not. Again, what other draft guys who do draft work say is not relevant to what the league thinks.
Right.
He's a really good athlete. He's got light, quick feet. He's got really good movement. I like Fano. Now he falls into that category with his arm length being under 33 inches. So I came away from watching Fano and thinking to myself, boy, I thought he could be a really, really good center. Now, that doesn't mean that's where he's going to play. You know, pretty much, again, I don't know what mock drafts mean at all. I don't have any idea what they mean. But obviously, most people are looking at him as a potential top 10, top 12 pick and playing right tackle. And he could easily, depending on the team and the scheme, be there. But I think he could play probably guard or center and be really good. There's a very calculating and controlled feel to the way in which he plays. Like I thought after I finished watching him, this guy's going to play 10 plus years. Wherever he plays, he's going to be a really good, consistent player. But I really thought that, center was the position that struck me. And as I said, an offensive line coach I spoke to shared my opinion. So I have to believe he's not the only O-line coach in the league, Buck, who feels that way.
Yeah, and there's such a dearth, for lack of a better term, of quality offensive linemen or quality offensive, and this is not necessarily a shot at coaching at the college level, but just it feels like there are so many different things done at the collegiate level that guys are having to adapt to or learn. And nobody comes to the league a finished product, of course, but just offensive line seems to that learning curve seems to be as steep as any position in the league.
You're 1,000% right. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I don't think my buddy Aaron Cromer, who just retired from the Bills, would mind me saying that. But I remember speaking with him a few years ago at the Combine about O-line play because, I'm constantly trying to learn. And he said to me, hey, when we get guys, we have to start from square one.
Yeah.
These guys don't really know how to play offensive line at the NFL level and what's demanded. And again, that, like you said, it's not a knock on college coaching because the games are totally different, the college game and the NFL game. So the demands and the teachings are different. So your point is 100% right. These guys are literally starting from scratch.
I bring that so up. That is a portion of our conversation with Greg Cosell this morning. If you want the rest of the podcast, you can subscribe to the install everywhere you get your podcast. You can watch it on Zone TV. Zach already has it posted up there today. Well done by all. So, yeah, just we didn't do the specific prospect thing, but more like philosophical, what are coaches looking for? How much does it differ? Like the question that I had for him about how do you determine, what are the determining factors beyond the things that we hear about, arm length, for example, is one big one that gets brought up, that makes an analyst say, no, this guy might and likely should bump inside at the next level. He's been a tackle his entire career in college, but this guy needs to play guard. Basically, Peter Skoronski, because everybody had Skoronski pegged as a guard from the jump, even though he was the left tackle at Northwestern.
I mean, people had J.C. Latham pegged as a guard.
But there was the possibility that he could play both.
That door was
Skoronski
open,
was never a question.
But I feel like almost every draft analyst we talked to on the show leading up to that draft said, no, J.C. Latham's best position is right guard.
And that might still be true.
Yeah, we're going into year 3, and we don't definitively know if he's their answer at right tackle long term.
Because Cosell said that about Radens, and they would not play Radens at tackle. And Greg was saying definitively, no, he's not a tackle. Some guys from the jump, some guys I wanted a little more context from somebody who actually studies this stuff at a granular level, somebody who goes to that O-line masterminds thing every year that Duke Manyweather does. So appreciate Greg's analysis there. I thought that was a good conversation. Your tickets for the install, by the way, still available, limited quantity still available for the May 1st event at the Hutton Hotel in the Analog Room with Cosell and me. We'll announce special guests later, but in advance of those announcements, get your tickets now at 1045thezone.com. There is an event link, and you can be in the house and hang out, talk some shop once this draft class is put into place. What do we have to give away? We have Usher Chris Brown tickets to give away for the thing in sports that made you say, oh no. Obviously, we're doing that today since the Coach Mac tribute took over Tuesday's show. So we'll get into that. What in sports made you say, oh no, for the chance to win those Usher and Chris Brown tickets, 615-737-1045. We'll do that coming up next. For the opportunity to win 2 tickets to see the upcoming Usher and Chris Brown concert at Nissan Stadium, 615-737-1045, the number. What in sports made you say, oh no? We are fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, broadcasting live here at Hattie Bee's in West Nashville. Stop by. I believe that they are officially open for business. First customer in line. Robert, you can order your chicken now. Things just got better.
How did he cut me?
I don't know. I thought
Sir.
I was about to go file a customer service complaint.
Yeah, I might have to fight him.
I thought.
I think I could take him.
I think you got a pretty good shot. So, for the opportunity to win those tickets, just call in 615-737-1045. Tell us what in sports made you say, oh no. Did you guys see the latest on Tiger Woods? He is
Tigre.
Tigres Woods, yes. He is trying like hell to keep his prescription records out of his DUI case, which just feels like he is he's not being cooperative in the way that you wish that he would. I think if he was, and I understand that those things are sensitive and that medical information is always something that should be protected. If the person dealing with the medical circumstance is uncomfortable, they are under no, I mean, they can't disclose it to they can disclose it to an employer if they want to, but the employer can't request stuff like that. So it's sensitive.
It is 11 o'clock on the dot, broadcasting live from Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken on Charlotte Ave. I'm Lucas Panzico. We are 1 week away from the 2026 NFL Draft. Titans GM Mike Borgonzi met with the media earlier this morning in a presser and was asked about the off-field incident recently revealed to the public around Miami edge rusher and first-round prospect Ruben Bane.
Researched and discussed it. We've talked to Ruben multiple times. We've had multiple touch points with Ruben, and feel really good about the person. People make mistakes, but we really enjoyed having him in here and discussing a lot of stuff that that had happened before. But we feel good with Ruben.
In other NFL news, the league has begun onboarding potential replacement referees as the expiration of the current CBA with the Referees Association is set to expire at the end of May, and negotiations with the league have hit an impasse. The Nashville Predators' season ends tonight at Bridgestone Arena against the Anaheim Ducks. The Preds were officially eliminated from playoff contention on Tuesday. Puck drop tonight is at 7. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 here hanging out at Hattie Bee's on Charlotte Avenue. We're happy to have you for the next 2 hours. We got so rudely interrupted in the midst of oh no, so we'll get back to those callers here in just a second. What's going on TV right now? Did something happen with Sidney Crosby? Why are they showing Sidney Crosby's career accomplishments? Did he retire?
No,
Okay.
there's been a lot of discussion about him and Alexander Ovechkin.
Just in terms of their respective greatness?
Yes, and Ovechkin has kind of weirdly left the door open. They faced off the other day. And so there's this thought that, is that the first time that these two greats that have been, coming along in this same generation together have faced off against each other. But I'm not sure about Crosby. There is a question mark about Ovechkin. He has left the door kind of cracked on whether or not he's going to retire after this year.
Okay. Preds, we haven't talked about it, obviously, because a bunch of stuff has happened, but Preds are not going to make the postseason this year. So only one time under Andrew Burnett so far have they been participants in the Stanley Cup playoffs. This, an opportunity for them the other night against, was it the Ducks or the Kings? I can't remember exactly. Either way, Preds not going to get the opportunity to compete in postseason play. We can get back to some Titans conversation later on. We're going to give you Mike Borgonzi's press conference here in just a little bit as well. Titans GM gave a press conference this morning ahead of the draft because we are 1 week away from the NFL Draft. And if you are asking where we are today, if you're looking on Zone TV, we are at Hattie Bee's. Where else would we be? Hattie Bee's officially open. People damn near breaking down the door to get their chicken. Which we are all very, very much looking forward to. People accusing us of taking ourselves off the air earlier so that we could get the chicken early.
It's fair.
I think it is a fair allegation. I will neither confirm nor deny. But just to put a bow on the oh-no calls, are people still there to win those Usher Chris Brown tickets, Zach?
Yes, they are.
Okay, who do we want to start with?
Zach, who do we want to start with?
We have Robert in Nashville.
Okay, I don't know if it's Robert or if Robert walked outside to call in. Robert is trying to win the tickets. Go ahead, Robert.
I'm still here. My
Okay.
oh-no was LaMelo Ball tripping Bam and getting him out the game, man. I think he did it on purpose.
Yeah, no.
And not getting ejected.
The NBA is apparently reviewing that. I don't know if you saw what's being called a dirty play by LaMelo Ball.
Oh, yeah.
And that did knock Bam Adebayo out of that play-in game. It is supposed to have a result. When the Hornets' next play-in game is when they were supposed to have a result.
So
on that, he's getting fined.
Yeah, Shams tweeted
14
yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay,
He is
14 hours.
being fined $35,000 for his trip of Bam Adebayo. They are upgrading the action to a flagrant, plus fining him $25,000 for cursing postgame. No suspension, just $60,000.
They get fined for cursing postgame?
Well, apparently. $60,000 fine and a flagrant, no suspension.
I probably should be fined then. Okay, so that is a worthy submission for Oh No. Thank you for the call. Who's next?
We have Kevin in Smyrna.
What do you got, Kevin?
Smyrna.
Hey guys, Robert took mine, so I'm going to go with maybe the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel, photos maybe causing a gender war in sports media. I know Jamel Hill's been on making the rounds, so that's my Oh No submission back up.
It's a good one. Diana, obviously, we talked about that yesterday. She submitted her resignation from The Athletic after those photographs with former Titans head coach, now Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel were making the rounds. There was an internal investigation done by the New York Times. She resigned before the results of that came out, which, of course, leaves the door open to speculation. So it is a worthy submission for Oh No. Also Smyrna.
Yep, you learned that one early on.
Tennessee geography B. Give me one more, and then we'll move on for the day.
We have Alan in Smyrna.
All right, Alan.
Same one with the Carmelo Ball incident. But how about I take it back? The Titans getting rid of Steve McNair.
No, we're not going to do that.
And
Come on.
Yeah, okay. Somebody doesn't know the rules of the game. Get the hell out of here.
We can't. That's going back way too many years there. You know what? I respect it.
No, I don't. Get off the line.
I do. No, because he had the LaMelo. I love that he called him Carmelo.
Carmelo Ball.
But he had the LaMelo thing. It got taken. He's scrambling. Oh, God, what made me say, oh, no, when the Titans got rid of Steve McNair and he went to the Ravens.
All right. Give me one more competent one. Please. It has to be within the scope of the week. It is Thursday.
Great.
Surely you can come up with something. Who's next?
We got Haley in Nashville.
All right, Haley.
Hey, my biggest oh no, because I literally said oh no, was I just heard you say a bad word when you were talking to Greg Cosell.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, no. I can neither confirm nor deny it is also an oh no. Who's next?
We got Janet in Robertson.
All right, Janet, what do you got?
Hey, guys. Well, my other two were taken, but the third one was last night when I was watching the Philly game, the fans yelling, we want Boston. Boston gonna beat Philly. They're just yelling it, and Philly barely won that game last night. So I don't think that was a oh no. Don't yell for Boston.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, Boston, the Celtics are absolutely excellent, and I was wondering whether or not the Jason Tatum injury, how that was going to affect them with him coming back into the lineup this year, but they have not missed a beat. They have been one of the best teams in the East. Are you invested at all in the NBA playoffs? One iota. I did not watch the play-in games last night. I watched the two the night before.
I will be. I will be intrigued by that Sixers-Celtics first-round matchup. That starts on Sunday, but usually it's right after the first round that I start to tune in.
All right, so I'm gonna take Haley out of consideration because she's a narc. So it's between Robert and Kevin and Janet. For Janet with the play-in game situation last night. Robert talking about LaMelo Ball. We think intentionally, and now the NBA finding intentionally injuring Bam Adebayo, and then Kevin with the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel scandal that has lasted entirely too long.
Let's go with the LaMelo submission.
I think that's a good one. Congratulations, Robert. We appreciate it. So you can remember to stay on hold for the opportunity for the folks back in the studio to get in touch with you, and they will get you your tickets. Well done. I think we might have more opportunities to give away those tickets because they don't technically go on sale until the 21st.
I'm starting
to
smell some pimento mac and cheese.
Yes.
Wafting through the air.
I am starving. We are seeing other people getting their food. It's taking every ounce of restraint we have to keep Lucas here until the end of the segment so he can order his food. So, pre-draft press conferences, there's always a conversation, especially when you have the owners' meetings before. That's the most recent time we talked to Mike Borgonzi. It's the first time Titans fans have seen him, right? Because that wasn't a video, wasn't done in front of TV cameras, and all manner of different things. So, do you want to talk about this Champions League situation?
There's not a Champions League situation per se, but an idea was thrown out there on Stu Gotz's show on Fox Sports Radio to maybe make the NFL playoffs a little bit more intriguing. Let's get to that next.
Well, we're not quite at a point where you want to get to it next. You want to just talk about it here? Or are you just that hungry?
I am really hungry.
I understand.
We should be strategic about this and order our food so we can eat it while we're playing the Borgonzi press conference. By the way, if you download the Hattie Bees app, you can order on the app and come pick it up or order for delivery. I could order on the app right now and walk 10 feet to pick it up.
You could.
I could. Yeah, let's do it now.
Yeah. So you want to talk about it?
Zach, do you have the audio from Stu Gotz's show on Fox Sports Radio on an idea to implement a format from Europe into the National Football League?
I have it ready.
Let's hear it.
The way they do it in the Champions League, which we're in right now, it's played over 2 legs. So each team gets a home match. And then you just take the combined score from those 2 legs, and then the winner moves on. So my question for you, NFL, we're always trying to get more NFL games. Instead of getting an extra regular season game, Stu, why don't we have a double-legged wild card weekend? So like this past wild card weekend, the Bills beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville 27-24.
Right.
Well, what if they played a return match in Buffalo where they had where the Jaguars now had a chance, where the game is basically starting Bills 3, Jaguars nothing.
So the Bills are spotting the Jags 3. Well, the Jags are spotting the Bills 3
Correct.
points. They're up 3-0.
So basically, a best of 3 game series is kind of crazy. This is a version of a best of 2.
Right. But they're still prolonging the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are technically playing an additional game, right?
You get double the playoff games.
Are we doing this every round?
So in the Champions League, it's every round except for the final. So we could do that for the NFL, every round except for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay, so AFC Championship game, it is Chiefs and Bills. They play in Kansas City. Kansas City wins by 14. They go back to Buffalo, and KC is up 14-0 to start the game.
Yeah.
I'm in.
The more we're talking this out, the more I'm in.
Yeah.
What do we think? Kirby's got thoughts.
Kirby's mad.
Most damn thing I've ever heard in my life. Go to Europe, boys. Get off ESPN. We've had enough of the.
They weren't on ESPN.
That's on Fox.
Whatever. That's all I'm going to say.
Doug Falling says the season would end in March.
Good. More football.
Yeah.
It's because it is something that would extend the football season. Somebody in the league office is going to be like, "Hey, boys,
we're trying to
heard
add
this harebrained idea on Fox Sports Radio the other day.
Instead of adding regular season games, why don't we just double the postseason games?
Kirby.
It's more fun for everybody.
Yes.
Can you imagine the Chiefs?
You know what? Hell with it. Everybody makes the playoffs. Everybody makes the playoffs. Kirby, I'm for it.
Starting again, it's not the NHL, Kirby, because the Nashville Predators will not be making the playoffs. Yeah. But yes. The Kansas City Chiefs or the Bills starting a game already down 14 is something that I would absolutely sign up for. Obviously, it is peak offseason fodder. It is never something that would even remotely touch reality in the NFL. But I did enjoy that hypothetical, that sort of, hypothetical that could be fun.
I think that it's never going to happen. But
of course it wouldn't happen.
I think it's a fascinating idea. Kirby is disgusted by it, which delights me.
This is what happens when you listen to basement dwellers. You get stuff like that on the air. Yeah, you know they lived in their mom's basement until she threw them out. But, I mean, now it's in the atmosphere, right? And people are going to start thinking about it.
Yes.
We don't have enough people that can cross a street without endangering themselves. Oh, just another way to ruin my life.
It's okay. It's going to be okay, Kirby. I promise you. 615-737-1045 is the number. Why don't we get into Mike Borgonzi's press conference from today? The Titans general manager spoke ahead of the NFL draft, so you will hear that and his tribute to Coach Dave McGinnis coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We are at Hattie Bee's today, West Nashville location. They have an event going on with the Titans. They got Titans cheer coming out. They got T-Rack. Everybody loves T-Rack, except for Paul Kaharski. So T-Rack will be in the building unscathed. Femi Oladejo is apparently going to be here doing pictures and autographs as well. Going to have a lot of cool stuff for you guys here later this evening when the Titans make their way to this Hattie B's location. We're doing the show out here today, so we look forward to seeing you at some point during your lunch. It is obviously open for business, as are all of their Middle Tennessee locations. I was at Mike Borgonzi's press conference earlier today. Titans GM spoke to the media ahead of the NFL draft, which is 1 week from today, and this is what that sounded like.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. Before we get started here today, I just want to take a moment to speak on Coach Mack and the passing of Coach Mack. He had an impact on so many people in the National Football League, so many people within this organization, so many people in this room. He was passionate about this team, this organization in general, the city of Nashville. I had a lot of good conversations with Coach Mack over the past year, particularly on the practice field last year, just talking about life, football in general. Learned a lot from him, team building, culture, doing it with the right type of people. He's certainly going to be missed by a lot of people here. And just want to thank him for everything that he did for us. So thanks, Coach Mack. We're about a week out here from the draft. Excited here. I think the process has been really good, especially with the new staff, coaching staff that we have here. I think the communication, collaboration between the scouts and the coaches has been phenomenal. Just discussing players and how these players are going to be used in our scheme now, the right type of players we want in here to continue to build in this locker room, to build a culture. A lot of people to thank. The scouts have done a tremendous job here over the past year, putting in all this work. Coaches during the spring here put so much work in evaluating these guys, and we had finished up meetings here the last couple of weeks with our scouts and coaches. Going to wrap up here, meet with our medical staff again today. So feel really good about the process we've had. Want to thank a lot of other people too, the IT department, our analytics, for all the support that they've given us as we've gathered this information here, over the last couple of months. So when you feel good, you feel prepared. We could draft tonight if we had to. So I'll open up for questions.
Mike, do you think Jeremiah Love, even though he's a running back, he profiles to be a special running back? Do you think that that's something that would be worth the value of a high first-round pick, like, say, 4th overall?
I certainly think there's a cluster of players up there that we really like, but in particular, Jeremiah's, I think he's a special player. I've talked about this at the combine before. I think his speed, can do things out of the backfield as a receiver. But there's also a group of edge guys up there that are really good too. So I think we'll have some really good options there at 4.
Does slotting of salary come into play with who you pick or the position you pick?
I think you have to have all these discussions. But at the end of the day, we always talk about taking the best player available at that point. So those discussions, premium positions versus non-premium, I mean, those are always talked about because you're always looking at your roster and your salary cap that we have to work with in forecasting your roster for this year, next year, the years coming. So certainly those are discussions that we do have.
Look at the premium positions and how that could change from scheme to scheme. How much do you feel like middle linebacker, inside backer is a premium position with Robert Saleh and his defensive scheme?
Well, he certainly had a lot of success with linebackers he's had in San Francisco, Jets, even his time back in Seattle with those guys. Like I said, I think there's going to be a cluster of players up there. you're looking for impact players when you get up there, when you're taking that high in the draft. And who's going to have the most impact? Who's the best player really available? But certainly there's a linebacker there that's pretty good as well. So
last year, you made it pretty clear that the number 1 pick was not for sale, that you were intent on taking Cam. This year at number 4, are you open for business? Or are you more likely to stick and pick? And if you're open for business, how far you feel like you can go back and still get a premium talent?
It depends, and I think to answer the first question, I think we're going to remain flexible and fluid where we're at, because I do think there's a handful of players that we really do like it for. And now, we've already started the discussions, but just in terms of scenarios, if we move back a few spots, if we went back 10 spots, where would that leave us with players? So those are the discussions really over this that we've been having really over the last couple of weeks, but certainly that's one of the options, Harry.
How much of a field do you have for Arizona and the Jets, and how important is it for you to have a pre-field, or at 4, is it kind of irrelevant what they do? You're ready for any scenario?
Paul, I think we will be ready for any scenario. If you listen to everything that's out there now, though, it's a lot of smoke screens. So I think you do have to pay attention to it, right? But certainly I think that we're going to have options there at 4, no matter what the team does in front of us.
Determining how big of an upgrade a player has to be at a position that maybe isn't a need to justify selecting a player at that position over a place where maybe you don't have a starter ready to play there.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the like I said, the challenge of the draft, and that's why you always stay true to the board, because you can make mistakes if you're trying to force need and you're taking a player that's a lesser value. So I think we always go back to, take the best player. You never know what's going to happen, this year, next year, just because we have a need this year, and how we can acquire players. The draft and free agency obviously is a big part of it, but there's certainly other avenues to acquire players throughout the year. So you never want to make a rash decision and just force a need for a player on draft night. I think that's really why we always talk about taking the best player available, and everybody rolls their eyes. But I think that's important, though.
You've got a spot at 4, and you said you've got a handful of players that you like. Mm-hmm. So if someone trades up to 3, is there any panic that they're going to take your guy, or are there enough guys where you're like, take whoever you want?
Well, I think there's, like I said, I think there's enough guys that we feel comfortable at 4, even if there was a player selected before us that we had in there that we feel good about taking at 4.
You mentioned the linebacker in Styles. Who does he remind you of when you watch his Ohio State tape and you see what he was able to do athletically at the combine?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the testing, not really anybody. I mean, his testing numbers, I think he broke every testing number for a linebacker. He's tall, he's rangy, he's a former safety, so he's got great feel and coverage. His length can take up a lot of space on the field. Tremaine Edmonds was a linebacker that comes to mind that was similar size, I guess. But even he wasn't this athletic, so it's a tough comp, Jared.
Did you see left tackle in the first 3 rounds? Just kind of tying into what we talked about already, but you've obviously got Dan Moore and a big investment in Dan Moore. Yeah. Would it be at all difficult to take that guy knowing you're either sitting a $22 million guy or you're sitting a high pick in the first round, given that you have a lot of other places where you need to get people on the field?
The big guys are hard to find, Paul. As you know, there's not too many guys that are that big and athletic. I think that's why, those guys get taken so high. Or when you have a chance to acquire, those type of positions, I think you have to do it regardless. And then, however it shakes out, whoever wins the position battle, and, to have an opportunity to get a young tackle in here to develop, no matter where we take him, I think you have to certainly think about doing that.
With a guy like Reese, he actually had an interview. He said he just was kind of out there just figuring stuff up as he goes along. When you look at a guy like that, you're projecting him into an edge position. Like, how do you go about doing that with some type of accuracy? I know it's always a crap shot, but with some type of
Yeah, when you look at the physical tools, and for Abel, I mean, he's one of the more explosive players that I've ever seen. In terms of his burst, his ability to close, his explosion on contact. So he has all the tools to do it. They were using him so much off the ball, on the line of scrimmage. And with a player like that, you can do a lot with early. You can use them in that spinner position, joker, however you want to call it. But you certainly see the flashes there of him being a dominant pass rusher. So I think you're looking at the tools and the upside there.
Is Bane's driving issue a driving issue, or is it perhaps indicative of a larger issue that would be a larger concern for a team that might draft him?
Yeah, I mean, we've known about that information for a while. We've researched it, discussed it. We've talked to Ruben multiple times. We've had multiple touch points with Ruben, and feel really good about the person. People make mistakes, but we really enjoyed having him in here and discussing a lot of stuff that that had happened before. But we feel good with Ruben.
Was that something he was forthcoming about, or did you guys find out that information and then have to bring it up with him? How did that kind of go?
I think you have a series of questions when you first meet with somebody at a touch point. I think we might have asked the question first, at the combine. But we certainly knew about it. A lot of teams did during the summer.
Anything you learned, I guess, last year, your first go-around as GM, that you have changed up this year, whether it's how many pro days you go to, who you brought in on 30 visits, who was involved in the process, any tweaks that you made?
I think it changes year to year, but certainly you're always looking at ways to improve. I think we've done a tremendous job this year just in terms of working, I guess, the bottom of the board and the backboard between our scouts and coaches. So that's one thing we maybe changed up a little bit this year, just in terms of stacking some of those players and starting on those players earlier.
Can you give us a sense of kind of the dynamic of the war room on Thursday night? What it'll be like?
It's exciting, but when you put in all the work, it's just like before a game. If you're a coach and you feel really good about it, so there's a sense of calmness, but you're excited for draft night. But you feel confident where you're at because you put the work in.
You talked about center and right guard being areas that you want to create competition for camp. Yep. And how far into this draft can you find centers and right guards who can come in and compete day one start?
I think there's good depth in this draft, the interior offensive line, day one and even 2 and 3, Terry. Those guys, you can find guys in those middle rounds that have, especially those interior offensive linemen, it's a lot of intangibles they're looking for, smart, tough guys. And some of those guys maybe not have tested well, and that's why they didn't get taken higher. But a lot of these guys play in the league, so I think there's some good depth in this draft there.
Does the change from 10 minutes to 8 minutes affect you at all?
No, I'm actually happy about it. It gets round one going faster, so it won't have much of an effect.
Going back to the offensive line stuff, not necessarily a knock on college coaching, but just how different the game is for the offensive linemen. Is it kind of like starting from square one as soon as they get here, no matter how ready you think they might be?
Yeah, that's a good question, Buck. And I think there's two things. I think the game has changed, obviously, so much. I remember even going back to 2013, we had the first pick with Eric Fisher, and so much guys playing out of 2-point stances because the pass game and quick game, but certainly there's another element now with these guys, moving school to school, and not having consistency with coaching, and with consistency comes you have to have fundamentals. So I think that's a big part of it. A lot of these guys have to come in here and get back to the basics with fundamentals.
How's the melding of a new coaching staff with the scouting staff gone as you put together the board, and do you expect, or A, do you expect it, and B, how much was there kind of a friction in the coming together of opinions?
I think you're always going to have healthy discussions, and no one's going to. If you're agreeing on everything, it's not good. So you need to have those healthy discussions, before the draft, whether it's between the scouts or between the scouts and the coaches, and sometimes they can bring up things too that we may have not seen. So I think you always have to have an open mind, and you can't be stubborn when you first evaluate a player and say, "This is the grade I gave him." Now you want to stand strong on what you really think of the player, but if you feel like maybe I missed that, and that's the biggest thing, having humility in the process. But that part of it has been great, Paul. With the coaches, we've had a lot of communication here over the last couple of months, even dating back to free agency. They've been really good to work with.
Mike, you talked about last year when you took the job how you're going to be patient in this process and stick to plans and try and accumulate assets. Going into this draft, how far along are you in that process, and how big is next week towards your ultimate goal of what you're building?
Yeah, I mean the opportunity, the draft is the lifeblood of your organization when you're bringing in players that you can develop and develop your culture. So every draft is really important. I think, we added some really good players, I think, in free agency that helped us. And I've talked about this before, in terms of some guys that had played for some of the coaches we have here, Coach Sauer and Coach Dable. So that has helped us, but every draft is vital. When you have an opportunity to acquire young players that you can develop and really build in your culture.
Along the lines of those healthy disagreements that I'm sure all teams have, if there was a player that you absolutely loved that Robert did not like, would that be hard for you to draft that player knowing that he's the one that has to coach him? Or is this where you being the personnel guy and being assigned the job of building the roster versus coaching the roster would take a precedence?
Yes, you would never take a player that a coach does not want. It's happened over the years. I've seen it. I've been in the league for a long time. That's how you develop friction in the organization. You need buy-in when you're taking these players. So whether it's a position coach or it's the head coach, that's why you have so many of these discussions, headed into the draft, and you never want to force a player onto a coach that they don't believe in.
If I can follow up, what's kind of the line of, at the end of the day, I'm the personnel guy, I'm the general manager, I've been working with the scouts for months on this, and you're a coach who's not a personnel guy, of making him maybe see things the way that you want him to see them or the way that you see them?
You have those discussions heading into the draft, but if you can't come to an agreement on a player, like I said, I've seen it happen before. It's not good for the relationship. It's not good for the player either when you don't have buy-in from the coaching that when you take them.
How much of this class will be tailored to support Cam, what he needs?
I think you're always looking to support the quarterback, and certainly protection is one. Getting them playmakers is another thing. So to answer your question, yes, I think that is important.
I know it's early in the off-season program, but while we're talking about Cam, how's he looking in the rehab process?
Good. He's been out there. I'm sure you've seen some of the videos online and throwing, and he looks good. He's trending in the right direction.
He'll be throwing during minicamp?
Yeah, I mean, right now I think he's trending that way. So, yes.
Any early feel, I know there's not that much going on, but for Robert's tone and themes and stuff like that in the early gathering of who's here?
Yeah, no, I think it's been great. You could feel the kind of the excitement and the energy in the building when they first came in. I was in that first team meeting, and Robert does a very good job of laying down the expectations and standards, and you felt like everybody knew where they were going when you left that meeting, and in terms of what he wants for this team, this football team, and that's a big part of leadership. But you can feel the excitement just walking around the building with the guys being in here over the last couple of weeks.
Mike, you talked talked about the smoke screen element from other teams. How important a piece is this to you in the preparation in terms of trying to figure out what everyone else is doing, and by the same token, you have to show up with us today wearing a bat for your end too?
It's just part of it. I mean, you have to listen to it. You do hear scuttle, whether it be on, social media or people you're talking to in the league. You're trying to collect information and you're trying to figure out what is the right information. But at the end of the day, you have to stay true to your board, know what you have there. Like I said, we've put a ton of work in right now, so we feel really comfortable, heading into the draft, no matter what happens.
Do you also have to participate in it?
Sure. That's the game within the game. Yeah.
When you look at this draft, is it unique to where there's more top-level players at non-premium positions?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. Certainly the Ohio State guys, the safety, linebacker, they're really good players. It's just one of those drafts where, just so happens there's a lot of non-premium positions that are impact players. Yeah.
Receiver, obviously, that's a premium position. What are your thoughts on the top end of this receiver group?
I think it's a deep receiving class, and I think the top end is really good. I feel good about the options that we have up there in day one and even 2 and 3. I think there's some really good options there.
How much do Tyson's medicals concern you?
We take all those medical information. It wasn't concerning to us at the end of the day. But every team might see it differently, though, Jared.
Trading down from 35 rather than 4, how much easier is it because there's less separation between the talent?
At 35?
You're going down from 35 rather than 4.
Yeah. It depends. Really, draft to draft, it really depends. Some guys you don't expect sometimes that come out of round 1. You think they're going to get taken in round 1, right? Everyone's draft board is a little bit different. I think you have to look at the cluster of players that you have in there. Sometimes when you're picking high in the second, there's a player that you really like. I think you just take the player. Now there's 2 or 3 players that you like at the same value, and you think you move back a little bit and still get that one of those players, then you do that. So I think it varies year to year. Sitting at the top of that second round.
How do you feel about older guys coming out? A, was a 25-year-old doing as well as he was doing because he was beating up 21-year-old in some cases? And B, how do you feel about a guy starting his career with you, that old?
Yeah, it's just, it's part of it now. I think there's a lot less juniors coming out since COVID. I think it might be, I forget the exact number, it's probably half the players of juniors that have come out so young guys. So the draft is become older, especially, I guess, on day 3. A lot of guys that will come back for NIL money. But that's just part of it. I do think there's an element of guys having more maturity, though, when you're taking them there. Some of the guys are more fundamentally sound. But certainly you're balancing that of a younger player that still has a higher ceiling, too. You do have to take that into account, though, especially if there's injuries to an older player.
Where has NIL money and players staying in college, where has that affected the draft most?
I would say on day 3, because a lot of guys will get projections, after the season and where they go, and if they feel like they can go back, if they get a lower round projection and they feel they can go back and still make money in NIL, they'll go back to school. So I think you've seen it more in the later rounds, for sure.
You obviously feel good about your preparation heading into the draft, but like the night before, is there any sense of nerves or anxiety? Like what what is maybe that night before, like kind of the 3-day chaos like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, you know, as a player, it feels kind of like game day. You know, this is our game day. This is, so you do, that's always natural, I think, to have some, you know, I call it nervous energy sometimes, but that's a good thing, though. So.
Hendon on the roster. Obviously, Cam is the starting quarterback. You guys made the financial commitment to Mitch. He's the backup. Will's still on the roster, but you guys brought in Hendon Hooker. Walk us through that.
Yeah, you know, he obviously had a great career at Tennessee, and you know, he's had some unfortunate injuries. But you know, we brought him in here to work out, and had a really good workout, and you know, he's a high character kid. So I think he's been a great addition to the room so far.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mike.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We are at Hattie Bee's today, hanging out, West Nashville location. There is a line, but it's a pretty reasonable line for the lunch hour. If you are thinking about where you should spend your lunch hour, think no further. We got the answer. Hattie B's, what did you eat? People accusing us of mailing it in today with Cosell stuff, with Titans press conference stuff, to which I can confirm we are mailing it in today so that we can have the most opportunity to eat chicken.
Yes, I had the grilled tenders. I'm watching my figure. I'm on a fitness journey. And the pimento mac and cheese and collard greens.
Oh, so good. I went with, I was surprised to see you go grilled. Normally, I'm a grilled tenders guy, and you do something else.
Well, fitness and health is my life. And sometimes it's a hard commitment to keep.
Yes, and then when I asked you if you wanted my leftover tender, my half-eaten tender, you said I'd pick at it, and then you just proceeded to pick it up and shove it in your face. So that was Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi speaking to the media earlier today. We will circle back to some of the stuff that Mike Borgonzi did say later in the show. In the meantime, the NFL is onboarding replacement refs.
It's happening.
Which gives me great concern. And here's the thing, okay, we joke and laugh about the Fail Mary and the replacement refs, and Titans are going to get bad officiating crews anyway because of the games, because of the way that the NFL distributes the refs and the way that they grade them and things like that. It's just the nature of where the Titans are right now. But the thing that I absolutely don't want to happen is for us to go through a season and we'll use the Titans for an example. The Titans get into a situation like they're actually, let's assume that they're a more competitive football team in 2026, okay? That they're playing in more one-score games. If they end up on the wrong side of a bunch of results because of replacement refs in a season where we can actually learn something about them, and they get, however that might be impacted by replacement officials, that's the thing that would frustrate me the most.
Yeah, it would frustrate a lot of people the most.
Sure.
So what the NFL is doing is they have completed background checks with several potential replacements, according to this memo. This is from ESPN. These replacement referee candidates will soon be given physical exams. Online and in-person training sessions with league officiating supervisors are scheduled to begin on or near May 1st. And the CBA expires May 31st. Oof. So we are a month and a half away from there being no agreement in place between the NFL and the Referees Association. And they've been negotiating for 2 years at this point, and they are at an impasse, a standoff, however you want to put it. So they are moving forward here with this contingency plan. And these guys are getting onboarded like you would any other job a few months out.
Bustin' on YouTube, where you can live stream the show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch says gonna frustrate DraftKings and FanDuel too. That's the thing. And I think we brought this up the last time we had a discussion about replacement refs, is the league was not this in bed with gambling. In fact, at all in bed with gambling. The way that it is just, it saturates everything that we do in pro sports now. I mean, even college sports. So how, what recourse do the NFL's gambling partners have if a replacement ref botches a call and something happens to the spread and people are demanding of these sports books, no, we want our money back because look.
Yeah.
The NFL got to pay the sports books out? It's a very, very convoluted situation.
When the Cowboys backdoor cover a 6.5-point spread against the Eagles because of a botched pass interference call in the late stages of the game, and BetMGM or whoever loses millions of dollars, how is that going to work? I don't know. That is the worst nightmare scenario for NFL teams for sure. So I'd be curious as to what they learned from the first replacement referee situation and how it'll be applied here. And we've already seen some of that with the built-in kind of buffers in New York that they're trying to implement to expand their ability to go to review, have replay assistance, and all these things. But throughout the flow of a game, think about the amount of things that cannot be helped by New York or replay review that can dramatically impact the game, like false starts, putting a team behind the chains on a potential critical game-winning drive, all sorts of things like that it just seems like a nightmare scenario brewing.
So this is according to Kevin Seifert, who's been doing some reporting on this on ESPN. According to sources, the NFL has offered the NFL Refs Association a 6-year deal that averages annual raises of 6.45%. For reference, do you want to take a guess? You may have already read this in the piece. Do you know what the average ref made last year?
We've talked about it. Wasn't it like 250, 300?
The average ref.
What?
You want to guess?
Like 350? What was it?
385.
Yeah.
The average ref.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, we were talking about...
And that isn't like 1099 money.
That's right. I'm sure the tax situation is brutal unless you have an LLC.
Yeah, I mean, think about these college kids. You think these college kids making $4 million NIL deals have an LLC?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, if they have good financial advisors around them, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure like Uncle Bill or whoever is advising them.
What was Kawhi's uncle?
I can't remember.
Oh, it's Uncle Kevin or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But, yeah, so the average ref last year in 2025 made $385,000.
Uncle Dennis.
Uncle Dennis.
Thank you, Zach.
Uncle Dennis, perfect, yes. So Uncle Dennis and his LLC, making sure that the taxation situation for NIL athletes is all spick and span. But for the replacement ref situation, I don't know what's fair. Like, I'm sure people hear that an average NFL referee makes $385K and are disgusted by that, right? Just because it's not like athlete money, obviously, but it's good money. It's a mid-6-figure salary. It's quality money. You can have and that's a side gig for a lot of them. A lot of them are lawyers. What was Hockey Lee? Hockey Lee lawyer? I can't remember exactly.
I don't know, but
they have actual jobs beyond what these jobs are paying them.
Let me say, if I was making $385,000 on my side gig, I would most certainly not have a day-to-day job. There is no way in hell that I would be working another job.
Why?
That's crazy.
No, it's not. Once you make money, all you want is more money. That's how this works.
I would be at home.
Well, you're very different that way. I need work to fill my day, so I will work as many jobs as you let me. But it's solid money, right? $385K for the average ref. So if we are talking about a situation where we tell people $385K for the average ref, and they're like, well, that's disgusting. Refs shouldn't be making that money in the first place. They're being selfish, whatever. No, but if you're that ref and you say, no, based on the job that we're being asked to do, based on the way that, based on the time that it consumes, because it's not like a side gig in the sense that you can be a DoorDash driver, right? And you can set up your schedule however you want it to be. It's not flexible that way. The NFL is very rigid. It's a lot of travel. There are ways to justify the compensation for sure, even if the average Joe Schmo making whatever doesn't think that should be something that the refs should be sticking to their guns on. But if I'm one of those referees, I'm saying, no, if we deserve more money, pay us more money. Or suffer the consequences. And the consequences are damn bad because it's replacement refs. Sounds like a nightmare. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved. We're broadcasting live at Hattie Bee's in West Nashville today. They have an event with the Titans later today. Femi Oladejo is going to be here. Titans cheer. T-Rack, the mascot, going to be here. They're going to have autographs, picture opportunities. Great time had by all, so you can check that out at Hattie Bee's. This Hattie Bee's location specifically in West Nashville. I believe that is at 5:30 p.m. today. Coming up next, how the Titans can ace their draft picks coming off Mike Borgonzi's press conference. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
12:03, good afternoon from Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken on Charlotte Ave in West Nashville. I'm Lucas Panzico. We are exactly a week away from the 2026 NFL Draft. Titans GM Mike Borgonzi met with the media earlier this morning and was asked about the off-field incident that was put out into the news this past week about first-round prospect and Miami edge rusher Ruben Bane.
Researched and discussed it. We've talked to Ruben multiple times. We've had multiple touch points with Ruben, and feel really good about the person. People make mistakes, but we really enjoyed having him in here and discussing a lot of stuff that that had happened before. But we feel good with Ruben.
The Nashville Predators season ends tonight at Bridgestone Arena against the Anaheim Ducks. The Preds were eliminated from playoff contention on Tuesday. Puck drop tonight is at 7. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour here from Hattie Bee's in West Nashville. That's where we're hanging out. It's where you should be hanging out. It's where everybody else is hanging out today. We are always happy to be with you. We are with you for one more hour. If you are coming to Hattie Bee's later this evening, they have an event going on with the Titans, with Titans Cheer, with T-Rack, with Femi Oladejo, autographs, pictures, all manner of different cool things. I assume this is like one of the first events that they're going to do since the uniform release. I know that they had a couple of pop-ups after the uniform release and stuff like that for people to get swag, but if you want, new swag and the opportunity to hang out with some Titans folks, people with the team, and as I mentioned, the mascot, everybody likes T-Rack, except for Paul Kaharski, as we well know. You can do that here at Hattie Bee's today at 5:30, the West Nashville location, which is where we are currently doing the show, and as always, Hattie Bee's is packed.
Yeah, and I would get here early tonight. And to help yourself even further, go ahead and download the Hattie Bee's app and put your reward in on the app so you can just walk in and pick it up rather than wait in the line and then hang out on the beautiful patio, enjoy this beautiful day.
It's one of the things that confuses me the most about people, because especially that Midtown location, which I think was undergoing some level of repair or expansion, the Hattie Bee's Midtown location, but the line at that Hattie Bee's is always outrageous. I'm like, don't these
download the app?
Don't these morons know that there's an app?
Well, they're not morons because they're choosing to dine at Hattie Bee's.
No, for sure.
In and of itself,
thank God they have good taste at least, because they don't seem to have another shred of intelligence to them. I'm like, people, you can mobile order this and just slide right on by, pick up your Hattie Bee's, get on with your day. It's a great thing. And also, as Lucas mentioned, rewards. We had our Hattie Bee's earlier. I ate it way too fast, but I am very satisfied. So we hope to see you out here today. If we don't see you while we're on the air, that Titans event later this evening as well. How can the Titans ace their pick in the NFL draft, ace their picks in the NFL draft? This is something that Ben Solak at ESPN.com, I saw he's going to do, Ben Solak is going to do some level of draft coverage for ESPN digitally outside of their normal broadcast. So looking forward to seeing Ben's work there. But as you talk about the picks that the Titans have, 4, 35, 66, 101, 142, 144, 184, 194, and 225. Those are all of the Titans' 2026 picks as we sit here today. Cam Ward, he was asked, and I didn't see who asked it. I didn't recognize the voice, if I'm being honest, so it might not have been somebody who's normally there, but he was asked, how much do you build your roster to support Cam Ward? And it was just kind of like Borgonzi didn't dismiss the question or snap back at him or anything like that. It was like, yeah, you're always trying to support the quarterback in anything that you do when you're building your roster, and it's just as simple as that. So we understand that everything once they've drafted Cam Ward is going to be about making sure that he succeeds and they succeed as a result. The offensive line situation is the thing that I keep coming back to, where I am the least certain about what they currently have. And even if they go into the draft come out of the draft with a couple of guys that can play, in year one, that is going to be the thing that gives me the most apprehension all year long, because is this Cam Ward's second year, or is this Cam Ward's first year in a new offense?
Well, it's his second year, but I think the whole goal, I think, is to remove as many obstacles or reasons. I don't want to say excuses, but kind of excuses, right? Like, take away as much as you can, that as many asterisks as you can when we're talking about Cam Ward.
Because last year it was they were a 3-win team, but look at the roster.
The coach was fired. Look at the lack of options. Look at the offensive line situation. So many asterisks, right? And like reasonable asterisks that do not put a rookie quarterback in any position to succeed. How many of those can they remove in 2026? How much can you remove the asterisk of, hopefully you already can check the box of not having a coaching change in the middle of the year. All right. Hopefully that one can be removed this year, you would think. Wide receiver, offensive line. How much can those things stop getting in the way of us evaluating Cam Ward in 2026? They can't remove all of those things. They can't wave a wand and make the Titans roster so that we get to evaluate Cam Ward in as good of a situation as possible. That's not going to happen this year, but can they remove as many as humanly possible, like offensive line? How much can the Titans feasibly make that less and less of an excuse or a reason why it's harder to evaluate Cam Ward as a quarterback in 2026?
So I bring that up within the context of our offensive line discussion, because something that Cosell said and mentioned on the install, I don't know if it was a part or during the part of the install that we aired on the radio show. You can check out the full podcast, get your live show tickets there as well, with the offensive line analysis that we did from this year's draft class. And it was really about, okay, you have to start from square one with a college offensive lineman. It's not because, and Cosell's point was, is there a position that is more learned than offensive line, in the sense of you don't grow up wanting to be an offensive lineman if you're an athlete. That's not like if a 5-year-old Tommy or something like that. Maybe Austin Schlottman, because that sounds like an offensive lineman name, and the Schlottman family's like, no. Skoronsky.
Isn't it Schlotman?
Whatever.
Pronounced Schlotman.
Okay, Schlotman then. Either way. So they looked at him and they said, no, buddy, you're going to be a center. This is just how it's going to be, okay? Because I feel like a lot of times in Cub football or Pee Wee football or something like that, it's normally just the fat kids that the coaching staff can't figure out what to do with the coaching staff. I say it like it's a pro operation. But like the volunteer dads on the coaching staff are just like, all right, you're kind of big, you'll get in the way, you'll be an offensive lineman. And trying to find the skill players in Pee Wee football. Nobody grows up wanting to be an O-lineman.
J.C. Latham told us he wanted to be an actor, remember? He got an audition for that Zendaya show on Disney.
Yeah. That was a really good story.
And just wasn't able to fly out and actually go through with it, so he stuck with football, and it worked out. But yes.
Greg's point is, if you want to play that position, you are going to have to learn more about how to do that than at any other position, because it's not something that children naturally gravitate towards.
Yeah, I imagine it's the least developed position at the high school level.
Yes.
Than any other, where it's like, just don't let that guy touch your quarterback.
And so you get to college, and the college game is different, right? The spacing is different. The offenses are different. The sets are different. In fact, Zach, if you could, do you have that Mike Borgonzi clip from the press conference earlier where he is talking about offensive line development at the NFL level and references Eric Fisher? He was on the Chiefs staff, the Chiefs front office staff, when they drafted Eric Fisher with the #1 overall pick a couple years ago. It's regarded as one of the more poor drafts in our lifetime. But Zach, if you have that, let's play that at your convenience.
You know, I think there's good depth in this draft, the interior offensive line. Day 1 and even 2 and 3, Terry. Those guys, you can find guys in those middle rounds that have, especially those interior offensive linemen, it's a lot of intangibles they're looking for. Smart, tough guys. And some of those guys maybe not have tested well, and that's why they get taken higher. But a lot of these guys play in the league, so I think there's some good depth in this draft there.
Not necessarily a knock on college coaching, but just how different the game is for the offensive linemen. Is it kind of like starting from square one as soon as they get here, no matter how ready you think they might be?
Yeah, that's a good question, Buck. And I think is two things. I think the game has changed, obviously, so much. I remember even going back to 2013, we had the first pick with Eric Fisher, and so much guys playing out of 2-point stances because the pass game and quick game, but certainly there's another element now with these guys, moving school to school, and not having consistency with coaching, and with consistency comes, you have to have fundamentals. So I think that's a big part of it. A lot of these guys have to come in here and get back to the basics with fundamentals.
So that's Mike Borgonzi earlier. I didn't even think about the idea of transferring and how difficult it is to transfer in college football, playing offensive line, especially when the systems are so different, and then expecting those guys to go to the pros. And no matter how many athletic gifts you have to play that position, it really comes down to, are you more technically sound? Do you know the fundamentals? Can you execute? And do you fit in the system? Carmen Brasillo, we haven't talked to him yet, the new Titans offensive line coach, but I'm curious to hear if he will at least help us to some extent understand, how do you retrain these guys from what they were doing previously? How different is what you're going to ask them to do versus what Bill Callahan was asking them to do?
Kyle on the F&M Bank chat says Maui Noah is the smartest pick at 4. Move JC to guard, and the line is set for 2026.
Man, are we to that point with JC? It didn't come up in the press conference. That's something I'd said I wanted to ask
you'd
about.
You'd be talking about
it.
Third position change in as many years in his NFL
know,
career.
man, and I really hate the idea of doing that. But it's not like, I don't know, he's not a sure thing at right tackle right now. I don't know how much they would have told us if we asked Mike Borgonzi today, hey, is your plan as you build this roster to keep JC at right tackle?
Yeah.
Like, is there any consideration whatsoever to moving him inside? That didn't make it to the press conference today. So perhaps that's something that we can talk about with Mike Borgonzi. Well, I guess the next time we talk to Mike Borgonzi will be after they draft somebody. They did those differently last year. Callahan was the person who spoke to us after they drafted Cam. Borgonzi didn't talk to day 2. And then on day 3 we got Ziegler and McKenzie. So I wonder if they'll take a similar approach this year. But we're going to talk about how Ben Solak has laid out how the Titans can nail, or rather ace, their draft picks. We'll get into that coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Everybody in here knows that because they're hanging out at Hattie Bee's, where we are, West Nashville, right now. Of course, any of their Middle Tennessee locations open. Also in Chicago, Atlanta, Birmingham, Vegas. Hattie Bee's. National. Soon to be international. Where should the first international Hattie Bee's?
Oh, who could handle
How would
it?
Italians handle the heat of Hattie Bee's?
Oh, good question. Italians like some heat. They like some heat. The Brazilians, on the other hand, the Brazilian side of my family cannot handle a shred of heat.
Really?
They are
I
not
would
good with
not-
spicy food. Not even a little bit.
I would not have realized that.
Oh no, it's not.
In fact, I would have thought the opposite.
Yeah, it's not a big staple of Brazilian cuisine is the spice. So they would not handle it. My cousins would freak out. They'd be losing their minds. But I don't know, that's a great question. Who appreciate? You know what? Thailand.
Mexico.
Thailand.
Thailand or Mexico?
Thailand appreciates a good fried chicken.
Have you been to Thailand?
No, I would love to. And they appreciate spicy food, and they are not afraid of spicy food.
Yes, I think Thailand. Maybe we should take your bachelor party to Thailand instead of Puerto Rico.
I'm already making everyone go to Brazil. I don't even know
You're
how
not
I feel.
making everybody go to Brazil. We are all excited to go to Brazil for your wedding.
I always feel guilty about it.
I'm literally not going to a wedding in New Harmony, Indiana this weekend because I'm not going to go to New Harmony. Like, I'm going to go to Brazil because I want to go to Brazil. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
So, with the Titans draft a week from today, with everybody's draft a week from today, how can the Titans, quote unquote, ace their draft picks? Now, I'm not saying that post-draft grades and things like that are something that should carry an actual weight. But if we're talking about the balance of best player available and also a roster rife with needs, how do you go about finding the best way to address those things? If you had to pick, Lucas, a single developmental category, so whether that be how you diagnose a defense, accuracy versus ball placement, footwork and mechanics, understanding how to scramble and take advantage of yards that become available once a defense is sinking back into coverage. What developmental thing, above all others, would you like to see Cam Ward take a meaningful step forward in year two? Because I do think I have one.
Just give me yours.
For me, it is taking advantage of the yards that are there for Cam Ward to be able to find those 3-yard opportunities, those 5-yard opportunities, those 7-yard runs that Aaron Rodgers would kill you with on the play action boot situations, to find the edge and run outside, make your way for the sticks, run out of bounds for a first down. Cam Ward becoming a more, it's not even a natural part of it, but just for him having to think less and just do it, to have it become more of an instinctual part of his game. I don't know what the process for that looks like. And I remember talking to Bo Hardigree about that last year, and Bo, on that run where they were starting to improve on third downs, where he was using his legs more in the second half of the season, about the midway point when they were playing better football and they were sustaining drives because Cam was finding those opportunities. Bo said they were basically just drilling it with him every day. Hey, watch this Patrick Mahomes run. See where these yards, where these opportunities can become available. I know that there's a million different things happening around you in real time, but that's such a great component. I think it's a huge, what happened for the Patriots, for example, was a lot of things broke correctly in a sport where you're more likely to be unlucky than lucky. But Drake May's ability to sustain drives by using his legs was as big a reason as the Patriots advanced to the Super Bowl as any other thing. Now, I would say that Drake May is a better athlete than Cam Ward is. Some people might disagree with that. I don't think there's much of a conversation to be had about that. Cam's not a bad athlete by any stretch of the imagination, but that's also something that he has to lean more into. He has to be willing to take advantage of that more rather than prolonging the play, which is the guy he's been his entire career and running around back there, basically side to side. Okay, all of a sudden I'll throw back across my body to the opposite side of the end zone for a 20-yard touchdown to Ellick.
Yeah. Not to take that big game hunter mentality out of him, but to be better conditioned on when to go for the big play.
Develop options.
When to be a big game hunter. And that also has to do with people that they bring in around Cam Ward that can turn into those quick outlets. I mean, obviously those things can be schemed open, and there were plenty of situations last year where Cam Ward did not take the easy play. But I think the goal is also to surround Cam Ward with people that will make it easier to take the easy play, that can create separation off the line of scrimmage a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. But if you're talking about how the Titans can ace this draft, it's hard not to completely center that around Cam Ward. Like, not to diminish the defense, and I know that that is an argument that it does benefit Cam Ward to have a defense that, it doesn't have the Titans needing to score 35, 38 points every game to still be in it. But at the same time, what can you live with more if you're a Titans fan? Having a couple more wins because your defense is at a higher level, but maybe Cam Ward isn't in as good of a situation and he's not growing, or the situation isn't as conducive to success as you would like. Or option B, let's say, a couple less wins, defense is worse, but the situation around Cam Ward's better, and he grows leaps and bounds, making it no doubt about it, this is your franchise quarterback. Now let's go put a competitive defense on the field.
Do you think Mike Borgonzi's under any pressure? Like, they're not publicly telling him, hey, Mike, you better get this team right this year, or we're going to start to wonder if you're the right person to get this right. Do you think there's any semblance of pressure, whether it's outwardly projected or otherwise?
I doubt that's an environment that's being fostered right now in the building. I think it's just about building towards something.
Is that because ownership's not in the building?
I don't know. I mean, right now,
I ask you because that matters to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The sense of urgency. Does he want to sign 24 new players in free agency and trade for 2? No, he don't want to do that. That's not his preferred way of team building. So he's already gone outside of his preferred, understanding that it's at a necessity. They have to get back to baseline competitive for Cam to be able to grow and develop the way that you're talking about. But if we're already pivoting from the preferred way of doing this from simply a year ago, is there any underlying sense of urgency, maybe I should say, as opposed to pressure, like, all right, we got to get this going? That can not even have anything to do with ownership. It can have something to do with the fact that they're a 3-win football team back-to-back years, and, I mean, to win 7 would feel like the Super Bowl.
Well, of course there's a sense of urgency, but I think the gist of it right now is Mike Borgonzi is going to be allowed, and Robert Saleh for that matter, to play out this cycle. Now, what is this cycle, right? Could it be just Cam Ward's rookie contract? I mean, that to me is a good sort of window to put around Mike Borgonzi and say, how quickly, how competitive can you make the Titans before we get to Cam Ward's second contract? And then by the time we get close to the end of that rookie deal, we have a lot more answers than we do now. So I just doubt anybody in the building is thinking that way. Oh, we better get this thing off the ground here either this year or next year. It's just about accomplishing as much as you can in this window to maximize Cam Ward during his rookie deal, not to impede his development.
Yeah, I think that's something that people tend to preach in those situations, but the question is, what are they actually feeling internally? Of course, we have no way to answer that other than to say, yeah, it's been pretty fraught over there these last couple of years, and hopefully they are more committed to being patient and balanced and reasonable in their decision-making, and also that they've gotten these hires more correct than they have the last couple of hires. Because it's not just that they fired a coach less than 2 years after hiring a coach and then fired Rand Carthon with only 2 years on the job. Like, there are reasons that those two individuals don't have their jobs anymore beyond the erraticism of the Titans approach the last couple of years. So just something that is always going to be an underlying theme, especially with what you're talking about with how do you advance this thing in the best way possible, while also understanding you got to start winning more games. Like, the wins do matter there. Every time she fires somebody, she cites the record.
For sure. But I get what you're saying. But again, with that sort of proposition, let's say, we can't totally do it this way. We don't know what's going to happen in the next year. But just for argument's sake, let's say the Titans go 9-7, I guess 9-8. The Titans go 9-8 with, let's say they invest heavily in the defense in this draft. they draft an edge rusher with the number 4 overall pick. They bring in cornerback depth. Maybe they draft Sonny Styles or Alvaro Reese, whoever. And the defense,
first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and the level of the defense is raised significantly. And they work with what they have on offense. They draft a late-round receiver. The Wan'Dale Robinson's in a big role. So let's say hypothetically, would the fan base rather see the Titans go 9-7 this year with an elevated defense, and you're in the playoff discussion, an improvement from Cam Ward, but not this massive year 2 leap? Or would the fan base prefer, let's say, 7-9, and you're out of the playoff race maybe 2-3 weeks before the season's over, maybe even 6 wins as opposed to 7, and the defense struggles all year, but Cam Ward does make that leap because they invest heavily in the offense and around him in this draft and whatever other moves they may make before training camp? I think the majority of the fan base would take the latter, to be able to go into 2027 saying, okay, parts and pieces on this defense, if we raise the floor of this defense, 2026 showed us what we have in that quarterback, as opposed to, well, we know we have a good defense, but we're going into year 3. Is this quarterback going to be able to make that leap that we hoped he would make last year?
Yeah.
I think the fan base would take the less wins for the proof of concept that, yep, Cam Ward's the guy, now go get that guy a defense.
Yeah, it's because ideally both things happen, right? Like they find in all things there need to be balance. In offensive football, they need to have balance. They need to run as much as they pass. They need to take pressure off the quarterback. They need to be able to keep the defense honest if they cheat up against the line of scrimmage. Like, balance is important in all things. Ideally, you're straddling that line with both of those things this year. I agree with you, but there's also the sense that if he is that kind of player, I'm not saying that you should already look at him this way, but in the same way that I talk about holding him to a higher standard last year and not taking or not accepting as many of the excuses as were being made for him last year. I'm not saying that some of them aren't absolutely valid, but he also did not play well for periods of time. I'm not saying that it was bad all year. I wouldn't say that. He did have good moments, but I still think that he can also show you that he can elevate things around him without him having to have the perfect situation. Or he's Daniel Jones and he needs to go to a better situation after trying to make it work in New York. Like, that is also a thing that happens in the NFL.
Yeah, but I don't think that's how you build around a young quarterback, not sitting back and saying, okay, show us how you can elevate these guys.
No, I'm not
put
saying
him in the
that.
best possible position.
I'm not saying that. Yes, absolutely. You want to try and find a way to balance both of those scenarios that you've outlined. How they do that this offseason is going to be interesting. Nothing should operate in the extremes. You should not forsake one side of the ball to try and get the other the most right. And I'm not saying that that's what you're saying, but I do think that people have a tendency to kind of lock themselves into that mindset. No, it has to be offense. It has to be offense.
For sure. But,
fix the offense.
And nothing is that black and white, but some will trend in one direction, some will trend in the other. Ben Solak wrote an article on how all 32 teams can ace their draft picks, plural, in 2026. And on the Titans, I'll skip ahead. He has some notes about Cam Ward, about some developmental notes for Cam Ward. The Titans, he says, probably won't take Carnell Tate at 4, but they should consider it. He says, if Omar Cooper Jr., Casey Concepcion, or Denzel Boston slip out of the first round, Titans should snag them at number 36. It's 35, right? I think he meant to write 35.
35.
And find a way to fit them in with Robinson and Ridley. He also writes, I don't think running back is a big need in Tennessee. Tony Pollard's a fine starter. Tyjae Spears is a solid change of pace alternate when healthy. Certainly Jeremiah Love would be a big improvement over both, but the Titans have too many offensive needs to justify that pick at number 4. A premium position like edge makes more sense as the Titans are thin behind Jermaine Johnson. David Bailey is a great scheme fit for the speed-oriented Robert Saleh.
Well, now let's just stop that really quickly because you saw the reporting today, right?
That the Jets are
Jets had a 30 visit scheduled with David Bailey and then canceled it because they don't need any more information, which almost tells you David Bailey's going to go too. It would be an upset if David Bailey did not go too. And he may still go too, but somebody might have to come up and get him if they want the Jets to not take him.
Solak also writes, the Titans should hammer the interior line once they hit the middle rounds. Austin Schlottman and Cordell Volson are both placeholders at center and guard, and it's a good year for experienced NFL-ready centers like Connor Lew, Sam Hecht, and Jake Slaughter. Better pass protection for Ward will go a much longer way for his development than Love, stuck behind a shoddy interior push. So he says, don't love at 4. Do love an edge rusher at 4 because of how top-heavy, or not how top-heavy, it's a deep class, but how good that class is at the top of it, and heavily address pass protection in the middle rounds of the draft. That's Ben Solak trying to achieve the best balance for the Titans in this draft, to not go solely on one side of the ball, put Cam Ward in the best possible position, and also continue to add to your defense.
Big on YouTube says, we were 30th in rushing yards. I agree that Pollard is okay, but it's not like we're set at running back. You're 30th in rushing yards because your offensive line was garbage. It's not. Tony would have been fine if you gave him a good product in front of him. Like, and I get maybe you're not happy with fine, but if it's the difference between, I don't know, when did Tony finally have his first 100-yard game this season? Cleveland, week 14. Like, he's a better player than the situation around him was last year. In the same way that you're talking about Cam Ward, you also were not supporting Tony Pollard last year. And I'm not saying draft Maui Noah at 4 and fix your offensive line and everything will rise as a result. But don't look at your rushing statistics. Tell me that Tony Pollard is fine, but say that Jeremiah Love would do appreciably better. If he was put in the same circumstance, he would be a better player. Yes, a higher-end player. Nobody is disputing that. But it's not going to be the difference between you having 1,000 yards rushing for Tony Pollard last year and 2,000 yards for Jeremiah Love or something like that. That's not the way. That's not the way or the reason that it looked like that a season ago. So, to me, I like that plan. I like an edge at 4. I like offensive rounds, and however you need, however it falls to you. If it ends up being a wide receiver, it ends up being an offensive lineman, and if it ends up being a running back in round 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that, okay. The more that we talk about the Love thing, the less I like it at 4. I don't know if you have a feeling one way or the other.
I'm so conflicted on it because
Are you really?
Yeah, I truly believe he can be a great player. Like, if he is going to be...
But can he be a great player in this situation?
Yeah. Like, if he can be a Bijan Robinson type of impact player, then that's so hard to pass up that proposition.
But what's that translated to for the Falcons?
Yeah, like, that's fair. Like, well, meaningfully.
Because essentially, Bijan Robinson is excellent, but he's just spinning his
He's
wheels.
awesome.
Has he ever made the playoffs? No.
I don't know the last time the Falcons made the playoffs.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
No, so, I mean, okay, Bijan Robinson, and they're a better team. They've got a better offensive line.
2017, the last time they made the playoffs.
Yeah, man, that's oof.
That's the problem.
I think that's the argument against it.
Like that is the argument against it is, what are you hoping for? Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley-like impact. And then you look at those three guys. Bijan Robinson's impact has been awesome in Atlanta. He's a fun player. Like, he's right there at the top of the board in every fantasy football draft there is. But Falcons have a lot of other problems, and it's not been enough to elevate them to the postseason. Christian McCaffrey in Carolina, really fun player.
Falcons' problems have been quarterback, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, and the Niners were able to maximize McCaffrey in the way the Panthers never could. Injuries had a ton to do with that, yes. And then Saquon Barkley in New York. You had the one spurt where they got to the postseason. They won a playoff game under Brian Dable, but otherwise it didn't lead to meaningful winning for the Giants because they had so many other problems.
Yeah, Buston points out the Falcons haven't even won more than 7 games since
that's crazy.
Bijan was there. So it is not a layup decision that I think at least a portion of the fan base wants to make it. And Todd McShay was very good to articulate that yesterday. If you missed that conversation, it's available in the show's podcast feed. You can also go back and watch it on YouTube. Robert did well to post that yesterday. All right, last call for phone calls. If you got them, we're broadcasting at Hattie Bee's here in West Nashville, and we'll update some polls, get out of here for the day. Coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie Bee's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. You know this if you're here at Hattie Bee's, because we are here at Hattie Bee's. Charlotte Ave, West Nashville location. Folks out here are wonderful, slinging the best hot chicken in the world, as it should be. I'm half tempted to take it to go order home. I'm stuffed. I couldn't possibly eat any more. In fact, Lucas had to finish the rest of my meal, but just for the sake of having more Hattie Bees, I'm tempted to do just that. What are you smiling about?
Do it.
What are you grinning about? You praying on the World Cups are you concerned at all about this world? Every World Cup has had controversy.
Every single one.
Every World Cup has had crisis. Every major international sporting event. For the Paris Olympics, it was, the amount of fecal material in the river that they were going to have athletes swimming in.
Yeah, wasn't there supposed to be a protest on that where
there was a protest? Yeah, people did get into the...
People jumped in?
Well, no, people were pooping in the water.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yes.
They were throwing fecal matter into the water.
Correct. Or squatting.
It's funny how those things just you just stop hearing about those things.
Then what was it with the Rio Olympics? It was a Zika virus?
Yeah, Zika was
virus
going around at that point. Infrastructure.
Yes.
Qatar had all sorts of issues.
Qatar just generally everything that probably should have never happened. The Qatar World Cup.
Well, yeah, and then
for a number of different reasons.
Get ready for 2034 in Saudi Arabia because that's official. But this World Cup, there is one issue after another, and then the games will start, and I'm going to let that just wash away everything that is just making me shake my head every time I look at a news update about this World Cup.
Last call for phone calls, like I mentioned, 615-737-1045. Marcus is up next.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today?
We're great.
It sounds like y'all eating that good chicken, so I know how it is.
Absolutely, the best chicken.
I don't know about the best, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I won't hear any slander. You better get to your point so fast before I kick you off this phone line.
But, I'm just saying, man, we just got to do what the dude that loves a lot of women say. A lot of young women say. Bill Belichick, he says, do your job, man. That's how everybody just need to do their job. And I'm going to talk about the running back y'all talking about getting, man, I'm going to tell you, man. Remember, Derrick Henry didn't even start the first 2 years he was there. So do we need somebody right now, or do we need to wait 2 years? And I think we need to leave Pollard back there right now because I think Valley could be a really good running back with a good line behind him. Because he did that last year with no running backs. With no line. So I say get some interior people and forget that running back for right now.
Thanks for the call, Marcus. We appreciate it. So there is something to that because, you think people would lose their minds if they drafted Love 4th and then Pollard was still, because, DeMarco, the wheels were literally coming off. His health, or his body was failing him in what would that have been, 2017. Had the really good year in 2016. I think he was the leading rusher in the AFC, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, sounds right.
With the exotic smash mouth malarkey offense. And then in 2017, they had drafted Derek, but Derek wasn't playing, and DeMarco was not nearly the player that he was when they acquired him in that first season. So I think fans would lose their mind if they drafted Jeremiah Love just to have him play part-time behind Tony Pollard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But they did it with Derrick Henry. Marcus is right.
Yeah, it was a second-round pick, though, and Derek was a very specific type of back.
Yeah, but he was a Heisman Trophy winner, and you could see, Derek still had the explosiveness.
Yeah.
There were moments in that first season, but he couldn't get on the field, and maybe that was an old-school coach being stubborn because Malarkey was like that on a number of different fronts. You can talk about pissing off a fan base. They drafted Love and just had him, playing 30% of the snaps behind Pollard.
With Jeremiah Love, I guess does the discussion boil down to, we know he's a good player, and he has the potential to be a special player. We understand that. But does it boil down to, will he help push you over the top? Is he going to emphatically change your chances to win any given game? Or is he just a player that's, nice to have right now? Because where does Bijan Robinson fall at the moment? Falcons have all sorts of issues, and it's really cool to have a player like Bijan Robinson. But he's not impacting games enough for them to win more than 7 games in the season, and that's not his fault. maybe that's unfair.
It all comes down to having the better team as opposed to having an individually great player. This is not an individually great sport. I understand that there can be greats at positions and that greatness can help elevate you in certain moments. But it at the crux of the argument, it is always better team over best individual player. All right, let's do some polls, get out of here for the day. Don't forget, by the way, that Hattie Bees and the Titans are having an event at this particular Hattie Bees location. Charlotte Avenue location, West Nashville location, where we're hanging out today. Titans cheer, T-Rack, Femiola Dejo, autographs, pictures, all manner of cool stuff. Believe that begins at 5:30. It's why we're broadcasting at Hattie Bees today. All right, now let's do some polls.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
This is a fading away Austin Powers.
What was your biggest takeaway from the Titans pre-draft press conference? You got one reply from Dustin. He says, anything is on the table, literally.
Fair.
So that's the big takeaway. Yeah, Titans could draft anybody.
In my defense, I put that poll out late.
Should offensive line be at play for the Titans at number 4? 87% say no. An emphatic response saying
emphatic no. Okay. Maybe should I have put in the first round, providing the opportunity for a trade back?
Perhaps. What would you guess the average NFL referee makes? Ed and Steven both guess $150,000. Bustin says too much for their performance.
So you got hiccups?
I did have a hiccup.
Hot chicken hiccups. Yeah, the average ref makes $385K, so significantly more than the guesses of $150,000. We talked about that because the replacement refs are officially being trained because the NFL and the NFL Refs Association have not yet reached an agreement.
Those are the polls.
Those are the polls. Very good. Robert, you've been quiet. You've been eating chicken this entire time?
Oh, yeah.
How are we?
We're good.
What'd you get?
Half bird. Hot.
Hot.
Ooh.
I do that so other people won't eat my food.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good move.
But then, so are you a spicy food person, or are you suffering?
Yeah.
Suffering a little bit?
Oh yeah, I like the suffering. Yeah, like when you go to like a Chinese buffet or a Chinese restaurant, tell them to bring that chili oil out.
Oh yeah,
I'm a chili oil kind of guy.
I wonder what Femi's order will be when he's here hanging out later today at 5:30.
He is the victor of the Titans rookie class hot chicken challenge.
He can handle his stuff.
Year ago, he won the Shut the Cluck Up challenge here at Hattie Bees. Don't they donate a percentage of the proceeds from the Shut the Cluck Up orders to a different charity every year, if I'm not mistaken.
The Busy Head Project is
I'm
the
not
charity
familiar.
at the moment. The Busy Head Project, that's right. Every order of Shut the Cluck Up supports the Busy Head Project, which is a mental health initiative that was founded by Noah Kahan.
Oh,
the singer.
Very nice.
Is it Kahan? Is that how you
It is
say
Kahan.
it?
Mm-hmm. What'd you think it was?
Kahan.
Yeah.
Kahan.
No, extra A in there.
Oh, Kahan. Oh, that's lame.
He lives around here.
But hope he's listening.
Not lame if he has a cool charity.
Charity is not lame.
Well, charity's not lame. It's just his name's lame.
Okay. That's going to do it for us today at Hattie Bees. We appreciate your participation. As always, if you missed any of the show, check out the podcast. See you tonight on Primetime, A to Z Sports, 7 o'clock.